But dude, your Marvel experience, man, you're a vet with this stuff. You in live action, you just recently Black Widow under your belt. Congrats on the success there.
Thank
Huge
you.
Opening weekend. Thor Ragnarok, Ant-Man, you have a great resume. It goes back for years. First time in animation with What If.
Yes.
What was the biggest difference from a producer standpoint to go from live action to kind of this anything goes world with What If?
It was, you're completely unbounded from any sort of rules. And which is both the most exciting and the most daunting thing about it, because then you have to create your own rules. But it really is, like, in many ways, the purest interpretation of the imagination of the people behind it. There's an element of chaos in all things. There's an element of chaos in animation. Certainly, a major factor in live action filmmaking is chaos. And how things don't go as planned, and how you end up, ultimately with a whole different set of tools than you thought you had going in. And in animation, you kind of get to work with this infinite canvas where anything you want can be achieved. And if you can conceive it, you can do it. If you could dream it, you can do it.
So far, pretty ambitious in these first three.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just wait.
Oh yeah, I say based on the trailers, there's some chaos coming, still to come.
Yes.
The way it's been explained to me, and I've had a lot of chances to dive into the creative process with some directors and producers through the projects that I've released this year. Whenever there's kind of a collaboration between the projects, it's on the producers to have that conversation. The directors are the ones who get to go out there and do their thing, and the producers are the ones constantly talking. So I'd love to hear, when you were developing What If, on the heels of WandaVision and Loki, leading into stories that can tie in like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, how much of a collaborative process were you constantly texting back and forth with all the other producers, calling on the phone, making sure, we're going to do this, it might help you here? Was there any of that for What If?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We met with the Loki team, and Stephen Broussard and Kevin Wright and I would have many conversations about the multiverse and how it functions, and branch timelines, Nexus events, same with Mary Lavanos on WandaVision. And I think we not just established how these things would be connected, but also the rule book for all the stories that we tell in the multiverse moving forward. And it's thrilling. We're in the middle of it. I'll tell you that. We are in the middle of it now.
So, of course, listen, I have to ask, as we visit all of these new worlds in animated form, any chance you think any of them come to live action life and tie into any of the films or shows on the docket?
Yeah, I think there's always a chance. It's animated, sure, but it's part of the MCU. And as you well know, once you're in the sandbox, anyone can play with that toy.
That's right. I've seen that Victoria Alonso came out and said there are ambitions for more animated Marvel projects. I heard you talk about season 2 possibilities earlier today. Have you been a part? Is there anything you would like to see? Would you like to see main universe stories in live action, or specific characters or anything like that? Or do you think the future of animation sticks with multiverse possibilities and stuff like that?
I think that if I told you about our animated plans, it would blow your mind.
Oh man, so I'm listening. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's cool. That's a good tease. I appreciate it. I got to see these first 3. The second episode, obviously, man, it had a lot of heart in itself, but with the addition of it being Chadwick's last effort, man, it really, you feel it and it comes through. And I would love to hear, did anything change in that episode? Is this 100% as it originally was shot, or did you guys kind of did you guys kind of change anything knowing this is his last outing? He's in 4 episodes actually, and plays multiple versions of the character. It did. I wouldn't say that anything changed drastically. We wanted to honor, frankly, his performance and his eagerness to be a part of the project. In retrospect, he recorded these episodes for us, knowing, what we all know now. And so
we wanted to honor what he did. So we actually didn't change a lot of it. There were certain things, in the context of his passing, especially musically. And I think Brian alluded to that. Laura Cartman delivered what I think is an incredible score for the entire series, and the way she approached T'Challa throughout, especially in light of his passing, is really beautiful. Really excellent work.
It comes through. It lands, man. It's powerful stuff. The series starts with the Captain Carter episode, and that brings back Haley Atwell and several other key cast members from the MCU. I'd love to hear about the decision to start with Captain Carter, who sounds like a character who's going to have a kind of one of the through lines through the show.
Yeah, I mean, Peggy was top of mind early on. There's a in Brian Andrews' animatic that helped sell the show. There's a scene between Steve and Peggy in the 40s, she, part of it is that everyone loves Peggy Carter. It's certainly behind the scenes. I mean, everyone loves the character, and we're always trying to think about ways to use her. But also Haley, like, we were excited to work with Haley. So it was and for many reasons, it became a focal point for us early on. And then, the characters, like everything else, they kind of take on a life of their own. They tell you where they want to go when you're doing it right. Anyway, that's what happens. And turns out Peggy has a lot to say and a lot to do in the what if world. Yeah,
and a lot of ass to kick. She's throwing down. She's throwing down.
Yeah.
I would love to hear. It is a strange thing to imagine someone else doing a voice of Tony Stark or a Steve Rogers or some of the characters that have been with us for over a decade now. And it doesn't pull you out of the show. You guys have found ways to make it work. So I'm curious, I'm sure those decisions are tough to make. What went into selecting some of the actors who had to step in for these roles that have been really defined by people, but these are characters we still needed to feature and tell stories with?
Well, a couple things. One, early decision was we were not going to let the show be defined by the actors we thought we could get. Smart. We knew that we wanted to tell part of the fun of What If is being able to tell stories, in any corner of the universe you want to. And that means that you need that infinite canvas, you need that infinite potential. And then, and also I was afraid we wouldn't get any actors to come back. I mean, the fact that we got as many as we did, I mean, it's 85% of the actors came back for something like that. It's incredible. And it's a real honor and privilege to work with all of them. In the cases where we couldn't get the original voice actors back, and many of which were very iconic roles, very identifiable voices, we prioritized the performance over the sound alike. So, you might be able to achieve like a perfect Tony Stark voice, but if the depth of the character wasn't there, and the acting, the performance didn't have dimensionality to it, it wouldn't matter. You'd be taken out. That would take you out. I think once you accept, I mean, the good news is that all these stories exist in a parallel universe. So there's a cerebral justification for slight differences. But once you accept the different voice, hopefully, the performances have a gravity to them, so that you're following these characters as individuals in their own right, in this new context.
My last thing for you. Which episode are you most excited for people to see?
Oh man, there's so many. It's really hard to answer. But I would say today, right now, I'm excited for people to see that Doctor Strange episode.
I can't wait, man. Well, listen, Brad, pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much for talking to everybody all day, and I can't wait till August 11th and everybody gets to see What If.